Hi, this is Chase Utley, and this is The Phillies Show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Phillies Show. Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zolecki. It's Thursday, July 25th, 2024. Phillies have a day off today. They just finished a 6-game road trip. A lot of things happening, but we have some news that we would like to announce, and we're going to let Ruben make the big announcement. Ruben, what do you got for us? What do you got?
Big news. We're super excited about joining the Foul Territory Network. We will be immediately joining them. And listen, this is a foul territory, obviously, fair territory with Ken Rosenthal, Dodgers territory, Alana Rizzo, my good friend. You have the North Side territory and Hammer territory. They're all under that umbrella. We're excited to join this family. You can just continue to watch and to listen to us as you normally would, but we might be on their shows. There's going to be a little interaction between all of these podcasts, but we're so excited to be a part of it. Scotty Braun, Mark Wiener, all types of guys that have a ton of experience in this area, and we're excited to join that family. Pretty cool stuff.
Really excited and happy. And thanks to Mark and Scott. Thanks to you guys. We kind of launched this on a whim right around opening day, and we're very, very grateful to the folks who have watched and listened to our episodes. They really pump us up. And thanks to everybody who's watched and listened, we're able to move with this opportunity. So it's really fun and great.
Yeah, it's been fun. I ran into a couple of fans outside Target Field, father and his two boys, and they said they listened to the show, and so it's been cool to see that. And don't worry, it's going to be the same show. Jim and Ruben will still drop their sophomoric smell you later at the end of every episode. So don't worry, that's not going away. We'll still be doing the same stuff that we always do, but we'll have a lot of that great support and that kind of interaction, and
we'll still be talking burgers.
Well, oh, come on. Cherry bourbon slushies.
That will never stop. And I will tell you that I did try that little Juicy Lucy.
You did?
Not bad. I did it actually with one of those Impossible burgers.
Okay.
Fantastic.
That's not juicy.
I know, but I had to do it because I'm trying to, work on my, cholesterol a little bit.
So you're eating
to eat plant-based. I'm trying to go plant-based now. Not all the time,
okay.
but I'll tell you what, it was outstanding.
You're eating crushed
super
up.
surprised after that bite.
Juicy Lucy, man, Minnesota. That's their claim to fame. Speaking of Minnesota, as I was leaving last night, flew back to Philly last night. I was at the airport, and I did not know this. There is a Prince store in the Minneapolis airport, and I am a huge Prince fan. So I bought this T-shirt.
Oh, I love that. It's one of my favorite movies. It's one of my favorite music. I guess you call it
Peace and Love and Purple Rain. So if you're listening, it says T-shirt says Peace and Love and Purple Rain. So I couldn't resist. That had to be my souvenir from a trip. I never really buy anything on the road, but that was the gift to myself for being
Prince, brilliant man.
Brilliant, he's the best. Yeah,
artist.
They've got some great murals down by Target Field. So I checked those out. I posted them on my personal Instagram account. So good time. Not so good for the Phillies. Guys, if we're going to segue from Prince to the Phillies, they dropped 2 out of 3. They went 2-4 on the road trip. Probably could have gone. They should have gone 4-2. Really should have gone 4-2. Some couple late inning bullpen meltdowns. They weren't helped by the offense on this road trip. So I think there's a little bit of concern with the bullpen. I'm not too worried about the offense, but when you look back at this road trip, level of concern, bullpen wise, is this just kind of a bad stretch for them? They've lost 6 out of 9 going before the break.
Yeah, I would have some concern. I mean, I thought Bryce Harper was irked after that game yesterday, listening to his post-game comments, and I don't have a problem with it. I like the edge. I think you should be irked because, like you said, that should have been a 4-2 road trip, not a 2-4 road trip. They gave away 2 late leads, 2 late games, and they did it because they didn't throw strikes in the bullpen. I looked up some numbers since the break, and I know it's a really small sample, but
sure,
every game counts, and they're 2-4 since the break. Their bullpen is walking 6.3 batters per 9. That's the highest in the major league since the break. And the bullpen ERA is over 8 since the break. Wow. Small sample size, but especially the control and the lack of thrown strikes has really hurt this team in the bullpen. If you're going to go down in the bullpen, you got to go down with a fighting chance. And if you're not throwing strikes, you're not going down with a fighting chance. So, is it fatigue? Is it just a natural leveling out? Is it just a bad patch? I don't know. I know how bullpens work. I know there's some talent down there. I think it's probably just a bad stretch that they can rebound from and be better because bullpens can be up and down. We've seen it. You can be the worst guy in the majors one month and the best guy in the majors the next month. So
totally,
I think they'll get it together. But I am just about certain that Dave Dombrowski will do something out there. And this is a signal that, we've felt all along they need to do something out there. And I believe they will before the deadline.
Yeah, I talk to my dad all the time. And I used to, we used to talk about this ad nauseum when I was a young player, when I was an executive. You have to have guys who will throw the ball over the plate out of the bullpen. If you come out of the bullpen and you do not throw strikes, you're basically screwed. You put yourself in a position to let teams get back into games. You bring the team down. When you lose games that you're supposed to win, then that really can affect the team more than any other situation, I think. I mean, obviously, with this team in particular, when you are supposed to win a baseball game, you got to win it. Mm-hmm. And so when you don't close out the game and Nola pitched his heart out that game. And you got to feel badly for him when wins and losses were like important to a pitcher. I mean, that's a real thing. That could have been his 12th win. And I mean, this is a guy who pitched his heart out in the 4th, 5th, and 6th inning to get through those innings. And he busted it, man. And they were grinding at bats against him and they were making him work. And he made the pitches he had to at the end. All for naught, because when Kerkering comes in, he can't throw a strike. And if and listen, I like this kid. I like all those guys in the bullpen. But if you're not throwing strikes and you're not throwing your fastball for a strike in particular, and that's one of the things Kerkering started to do much better in the beginning of this year, is trust his fastball a little bit more and throw it for more consistent strikes. Well, right now he's not doing it. And so that makes his slider or slurve or whatever you want to sweeper less effective. It lets guys sit on it because he's basically throwing at every single pitch, or the only one he can command. And he's going to have to make some adjustments and make sure that fastball, same thing with Alvarado. He's got to get back to the point where he has his command, get his mechanics together. And Soto as well. I know Soto's been he's sort of been pushed back into a different role. And I think it was because he had shown both Caleb Cotham and Rob Thompson that breaking ball is a little bit more consistent, his fastball a bit. Well, now he slid into that more important role, and now all of a sudden, now I'm not throwing strikes either. So, I mean, guys need to reset. I think that they have the arms to do it. I think they're going to be fine. The one guy that's been super, super consistent is Hoffman. It's just been an amazing story. He's been tremendous. He continues to do his job. But, hey, it can be really mercurial back there in that bullpen, as you said, Jim. But I really do believe that they would benefit from someone that Rob Thompson knows he can trust to get a few outs in the 8th and 9th inning.
Yeah, because right now you have Strom, Hoffman. You mentioned Alvarado struggling, Soto struggling, Kerkering struggling, Dominguez is struggling, and then you start getting into Junior Marte and Jose Ruiz. So then what I think what a lot of fans are doing is they're projecting that in October, and they're going, oh my gosh, what is going to happen here? I think the Gregory Soto thing was really disappointing this week because Rob wanted to give him an opportunity to all right, you wanted to pitch in the 9th inning. Alvarado struggling. We're going to give you a shot here. And to see him struggle on Tuesday night. And of course, Wednesday, boy, you wonder if he's going to get it back out there and get another shot or two.
But in addition to bringing in somebody from the outside, which I think we're all in agreement that we believe they will, they need a turnaround from this current group.
Oh, sure.
One guy is not going to do it. One addition is not going to do it. They need a turnaround, a big turnaround from the current group. It starts with strikes. It starts and then it leads to performance, and then it leads to confidence. Because I see a unit that just is lacking confidence because they have not performed. And that does radiate through the whole team. It's so demoralizing to lose games late, to lose games that you should be winning. You could hear it in Bryce Harper's voice after that game. I mean, defense, it was a play in the outfield, Marsh. I mean, that's a tough play. But it's a play that championship caliber teams make. It's not always the errors that kill you. It's the plays that the elite defenders and the elite teams make and the average teams, the middle of the road teams don't make. The backbreakers, and that would have been a big play for that team. Day off Thursday, good time for a reset. Returning home, pardon me, where they're really good, but they're facing a good Cleveland team. Yeah. I'm not worried this team's going to play in October, but they need to get it going and show the kind of team they are after a poor road trip.
And what people forget a lot of times, guys, for me is that hitting and bullpen is sort of the same thing. They have ebbs and flows. They have ebbs and flows because that's part of baseball. When you hear people say, yeah, well, that's baseball. Well, guess what? It is. Because no hitter, unless you're Ichiro or you're, Tony Gwynn, you're not going to hit every single day. You're just not going to do it. And so you're going to have ups and downs. And the same thing with a guy in the bullpen. I mean, unless you happen to be perfect. That 1 year Brad Lidge was perfect and he got really lucky at times. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. And so they have to ride the wave a little bit. And you're right. It's about having some success, gaining their confidence back so they can get back in the strike zone and start doing their jobs.
Do you think this week changed anything about the way Dave Dombrowski and Sam Fuld and the Phillies front office is looking at this trade deadline in terms of the bullpen? I mean, I'm sure they already identified that they probably were going to get a guy. Does it make it more urgent? Are they going to be more apt to overpay to get their guy? Or do you think there are enough guys out there that they can still kind of stick to their plan and do what they want to do?
I guess it could have added a little bit of urgency, but I think they're pretty committed to getting, a bullpen arm. I'm sure the teams that are selling bullpen arms are paying attention and saying, wow, you guys struggled a little bit over there. Maybe that'll affect prices, but I think they were pretty locked in on bullpen help all along here.
Ruben, it's definitely a seller's market, man. I will tell you what, every single team that is contending is looking for what? Bullpen help. Every one of them. And some of them are bullpen and starting help. So, I mean, the marketplace is going to be, the prices are going to be high. They're going to push those teams that are not in it, are going to push the envelope as much as they possibly can to get their best deal. You're going to wait all the way up until the, July 30th at, what is it? Is it noon or 4 o'clock?
No, it's 6 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Eastern.
6 p.m. Eastern, man. It's good. At 5:59, you're going to hear about 17 different deals getting thrown together. And it's a very, very stressful time for a GM. And it's also a really fun time, but it's a stressful time, especially with so many teams, especially in the National League, still in it.
So Ruben, Jim was kind of joking, saying, "Hey, I see how the bullpen's pitching. When you in 09 and 10, when you needed starting pitching, did some of those GMs maybe go, come on, Ruben, you need this. You need Roy Oswalt. Ruben, come on. Like I guess it was JP Ricciardi, right? With Buff in Toronto.
Yeah, there's that story about JP. JP was trying to make the Roy Halladay deal, and he was trying to get all your prospects. And he said, come on, Ruben, you make this deal, you'll be riding down Broad Street like a conquering hero.
That's right. Well,
so
they. Yeah. So listen, they're not dumb. They see what's going on. Nobody's. Sure. They see where the Phillies are. They see their needs, and they know that Dave Dombrowski and John Middleton are hell bent on trying to win. So yeah, the prices are going to be high, and the question is how high, and what are they willing to give up? They have a few pretty darn good prospects down there. I don't think they have to give up their best ones necessarily, and if they do, it's going to have to be for somebody that they're going to have to hold on to for a while. And that was one of the things that was important to me in almost all our deals. And it was something that was also important to Dave Montgomery, and we talked about it a lot rather than going for rentals. If we were going to give up the quality of prospect that we were going to give up, then and the multiples that we were going to give up, which we did, then it was really important for us to have guys, not just for that year, but the following year and beyond.
And you did get guys like that, Blanton, Pence, Oswalt, right?
Oswalt, yeah, we actually asked him to pick up the option.
Yeah.
Which he did. He gladly picked up the option for the following year, so we had him for another year. I mean, so those were really important. And the Halliday thing, the same thing. We made that trade to get Halliday, and with the caveat that we had to sign the guy. And it was an off-season deal, but we had 72 hours or 48 hours, or whatever, to get it done, and we did.
So we know every Phillies fan wants Mason Miller. We've talked about Mason Miller on the show in episodes before. He's under team control through 2029. He's going to come at a ridiculous price. Do you think the Phillies bullpen situation is at a point where you have to entertain that, or you add a Tanner Scott? I'm looking at some of the guys who are free agents after the season who will cost a lot less. Carlo Estevez, Yimi Garcia, guys that are free agents after the season. A lot smaller price, good late inning guy. What would you guys do,
Jimmy?
Well, I think if it's a rental, the price is reduced. It would be nice to get extra years of control, but honestly, with this season you're having, I'm just focused on this October and getting where I need to get this October. But if there's a more control, that's going to impact how willing I am to give up more elite level talent, or more promising talent, maybe is a better word.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're poking around on several players, but a guy like Chad Green is interesting to me. There's some guys out there that are of interest that have had success and have pitched in big markets. Chad Green's done it in New York, and he's done it in Toronto. I know he had some health issues, but I like the guy. But that's the type of guy that you can rent and try to pay less for. It's going to hurt a little bit because he's a rental, and you're not going to have him for much more. But it may be worth it if he helps you get to the promised land. And I think they need some people that Rob Thompson can trust back there in the 8th and 9th.
Yeah, Kyle Finnegan's signed through next season. Pete Fairbanks from the Rays, if they decide to sell, he's signed through next season. Some of those guys have some experience, so it would be interesting.
Guy from Tampa, Jason Adam.
He's under team control through
out there.
What about Hector?
Hector Neris. You know what? I don't mind bringing guys back, but I just don't know if you can trust him to throw consistent strikes.
Yeah.
And he's not necessarily going to pitch the 9th. I know he's pitching the 9th right now for the Cubs.
What about that Kirby Yates?
I like Kirby. I like Kirby Yates. He actually, he's again health.
Man.
It been a few years since he was really dominating in the back end with the Padres with that split. It's an interesting name.
Having a good year, All-Star. I believe he's a free agent. That might be a fit.
But here's what's interesting about the Rangers is they're only 3 back, right? They're 3 out of first place of the Astros. I know they're 2 games under 500, but the Mariners are under free fall.
I just think the Mariners are going to get blown away because unless they get 2 hitters, they have no hitting. They can't score a run. And so I think I got to believe that Houston and Texas are going to pass them. I mean, they're getting healthy. They're getting DeGrom back, I think, here fairly soon. They've gotten Eovaldi and Scherzer back. They're just kind of getting into it. If those guys start getting on a roll, look out for the Rangers, baby, because they got Bruce Bochy at the helm. Watch out.
Then you need right-handed bat in the outfield. Of course, the Phillies are looking at as well. I'm sure they would love to get one, or I think they would love to get both if they can. I mean, I think Dave sees what's going on, and I also think Bryce sees what's going on. I think that was. Did you read? We asked Bryce about the trade deadline. Did you see his quote? What do you think? What do you think this team needs? What do you think they could do? What do you think they're going to do? He said, "I don't know." Dave's going to get the job done if he wants to. He didn't say it in the smart alecky way. He just said it matter of factly. Dave's going to get the job done if he wants to. So, you know,
well, you got to understand. You have to understand that the players have a very focused and a very parochial view of what's going on here. I don't care who you give up, because that kid in A-ball isn't going to stop us from getting X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Well, sadly, and maybe not so sadly, the organization has to make sound decisions on so many different levels, and your ability to assess your own talent and understand how that guy and how that player can make an impact on your team down the road, and how close he is. Those are tough decisions that a GM has to make, man. Tough.
Jim, do you remember this? Right after the 2011 trade deadline, I think when you guys got Hunter Pence, I remember Roy Halladay, he must have pitched like that day or the day after or something like that. He was standing in the middle of the clubhouse and he said, I love the fact that these guys aren't afraid of giving up their top prospects to go out and get somebody big, because I want to win now. So, you know, all those guys in the clubhouse are saying the same thing. Aiden Miller, come on, Justin Crawford, you're not going to get so-and-so because you want to keep Justin Crawford, who might or might not turn out in a few years. It really is a fascinating dynamic in that clubhouse.
All I know is one of my coolest moments is when I got the standing O walking into that clubhouse that one day,
Arizona.
And you know how important it was to those guys for us to deliver. And I will say that was one of the coolest moments I had as a GM, because we ended up getting players that they knew would help them, and that was pretty gratifying.
Ruben, I was in Seattle that day. So that was the day you completed the Cliff Lee trade.
Yep,
correct. Right? And Cliff Lee, and I say this with all due respect to everyone involved, he was sort of the runner-up prize, the second place, a damn good second place prize. But you had pursued Halladay all along, and you did a masterful job having Plan B on a parallel railroad track, and it was which one can I get to the station, but. I had been following Halladay around. I think I went to his last start in Toronto. He walked off the field and tipped his hat. Everybody knew he was getting traded. They go to Seattle. I go to Seattle with him, and watched him pitch that day. Pitched good against the Mariners. And right before that game started in Seattle time, they showed the dugout in Anaheim. The Indians were at Anaheim, and all of a sudden Cliff Lee is shaking everybody's hand, and you're like watching this in the clubhouse. And what the hell's, oh my God. And then it's like, Cliff Lee has just been traded to Philadelphia. Halladay is in the back getting stretched. He's got to go out and pitch this game, completely disappointed because he wanted to be a Philly. He knew that was the place he wanted to be. You guys put a lot of hours into it, and it didn't happen. And he pitched his heart out, and I remember talking to him after that game, and he was, exhausted throughout this kind of month-long ordeal as the Blue Jays put him on the trading block for a month, and it was this major thing, and it was just, grinding on him, and he just wore this look of. I remember asking him about it. You're not going to Philadelphia? They got Cliff Lee, and he was very honest. He was quite disappointed. It was like a surreal moment, and down in Arizona, you're getting a standing ovation. What an amazing juxtaposition of emotion, watching a disappointed Doc Halladay, knowing he was not going to Philadelphia, and watching that clubhouse where Todd was down in Arizona, knowing that the Phillies were getting Cliff Lee, and you were walking through the clubhouse like the conquering hero.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool moment. I must have, and just having known Doc and how difficult it must have been for him, because he wanted to win so badly. He wanted to get to, he knew that his team, the Toronto Blue Jays, were not going to get there. I know how he is emotionally. He's a really deep sort of feeler and thinker. And I got to believe that it was very difficult for him to sort of quote unquote request a trade to leave Toronto, because he loved being there. I mean, he grew up there. That was his place, but he really, I mean, winning was the most important thing to him. And I mean, we finally got him, and that was a wonderful moment too. But I can imagine what he was going through, because it was something that was really important to him. He really wanted to pitch in meaningful games in September, October.
Do you guys think this will run right up to the deadline, Phillies, in terms of if they get a reliever and a bat? Tuesday, 3 p.m. I mean, it feels like it.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it seems to happen all the time. It goes right to the end. Remember that one year, I think it was when Omar Minaya was running the Expos. He ended
up getting Bartolo Colon.
An early one, right? He jumped.
That was
early.
and Cliff Lee was involved in that.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Cliff Lee went over with the second baseman.
That's right.
Phillips. It was Phillips. Brandon Phillips. And there was another big name in there. There's three. Yeah. That was a big one. And we couldn't believe it because Omar was like, this is MLB's team. They don't even have an owner. We were like, I cannot believe he just made that deal. That's who he wanted.
Yeah, that was
crazy.
Do you think the trade deadline, I mean, it gets so much attention nowadays. I guess it's a lot of it's social media, the rumors and the nonstop news feed. It's gotten more and more crazy over the years. Did you like it when it was a little more under the radar, or did you like it now, like it is now, where it's just so public and it's so difficult to separate the good from the bad?
It's hard to do your job, when you're starting. And I didn't really try to let any of that social media. Still, social media started really popping towards the end of my career there. But I try not to let it bother me too much. I had to just kind of like grind at, think, okay, let's figure out what we need to do. Let's not listen to all the noise. Let me make sure that I understand what's going on with this team and the scouts. And I just love this part of the season just because you had everybody in your department with you and you're trying to figure out what's going on and you're trying to get the right fit. I mean, it's great to be in this position. It's stressful as hell, but it's great to be in this position. And of all the things that I did as a GM, these are the days that I miss the most. And it's funny. I actually think about this a lot. I have a group text with all those guys that were in that group, the Mike Ondos, Pro Frock, Benny Looper no longer with us, God rest his soul, Pat Gillick and all the scouts, Mercurio and Howie Freeling and all those guys, Kerfeld. I mean, I still have them on a group text, and Jesse Levis and Dave Hollins and all those guys. I still have them on a group text, and I sometimes from time to time I'll text them and say, "Hey, man, I miss you guys. I miss you guys like none other." And Dewey also. I mean, Dewey was all great guys. I'm sure you guys were picking their brains a lot and trying to get information from them, and rightfully so. But
Ruben, one of my favorite trade deadlines. One of my favorite deadlines was a deadline you guys didn't get anything done. It was just very exciting and fascinating. It was the year you were the assistant. You were pursuing Andy Pettit.
Oh, that was phenomenal.
And Pettit, Todd had struggled. This might have been like 99 or 2000. I can't even, but he had struggled in New York. And Steinbrenner goes into Brian Cashman. And the reason I know this is Cashman told me. I ended up writing about it in the fall of that year. Steinbrenner goes into Cashman and says, I want you to trade Pettit. That's it. I want him out of here. We're unloading him. So Brian Cashman has to make the best deal for Andy Pettit. So Ed Wade's the GM, Ruben's the assistant, Mike Arbuckle. Gordon Lakey was one of their chief advisors. Gordon Lakey loved Andy Pettit, Houston guy, right? Loved him, right? And seen his whole career. So they go all in to get Andy Pettit. Reggie Taylor, I think Adam Eaton, somebody else is in the deal.
Eric Valent, beautiful left-handed stroke, great guy.
Yeah. So they take this thing all the way to the finish line. And in these days, the deadline was at midnight.
Yep.
And it was a Saturday night.
We thought we had the deal done.
Oh, it was a Saturday night, and everybody thought they had the deal done, including Brian Cashman. So apparently, the way Cashman told me the story was George came to him like 2 weeks before the deadline, a week before the deadline, said, get rid of him, trade Pettit. 20 minutes before the deadline, half hour before the deadline, 11:30 on that Saturday night before the deadline at midnight, Steinbrenner tells Cashman, don't do the deal. We're keeping him.
My gosh.
And he had to call Ed Wade and say the deal's, we're not doing the deal. The Phillies thought they had the deal. It was so close that Carlton Lower, who pitched for the Phillies, he wore number 46. He had already volunteered to give up 46 so Andy Pettitte could wear 46. This deal was like basically done. Steinbrenner called it off a half hour before the deadline. And the Phillies game in Atlanta, we were in Turner Field. The game had been kind of long over. We're just hanging around the hallway waiting for Ed Wade to emerge at the deadline. And he came out and, he couldn't say a lot because, there was still that line you had to cross, tiptoe along because you couldn't mention names and things that were essentially prospective names. But we all know what was going on. And he was very disappointed they couldn't get this thing to the finish line. I can only imagine how you guys must have felt because you put a ton of time and effort into that.
Yeah, it was a tough one. Sometimes, there are so many ebbs and flows. We thought we had Doc. We didn't sure we were getting Doc. We thought we were going to get Cliff Lee. Then it's off. Then it's on. It's quite the process. You're moving. Okay. I can't give you that guy, but I can give you this guy. Would this guy work? There's all types of stuff going on. It's quite the process. I loved every freaking minute of it. And as I think about it now, I probably lost some years going through those, but there are years that I'd never mind doing. I'd love to do it again. Not anymore. I want to do it again for me, but the fact that I did it, it was really, really fun.
Give me a prediction, Todd. What's going to happen?
My bold prediction. How about the Phillies go 2-for-1 and get Lane Thomas and Kyle Finnegan from the Nationals? They make a little old school baseball deal, wheeling and dealing with Mike Rizzo.
I think Lane Thomas. I think Lane Thomas with Brandon Marsh, put them together. You got a really nice left field player.
Totally.
That'd be a great trade. Now, Kyle Finnegan, I love him. Never really pitched super tight. I know he's pitched in Washington. Has he pitched in playoff situations?
Right.
You just don't know. Now you can't throw all, you can't, there's a lot of guys who haven't pitched in the playoffs who are probably going to end up, you'll never know until he's there.
True.
But it's something to consider too.
No doubt.
Well, guys, we will be back. We're going to have more trade deadline talk as it goes. If they make a big trade over the weekend, check us out. We'll get an episode up as soon as possible to dissect it, and we'll have other episodes coming along the way. We're on Foul Territory Network. We're part of Foul Territory Network now, so keep an eye out for any little cross promotion, little interaction with those guys. We're excited about that, like Ruben said at the top of the show. So, guys, thank you very much. Thanks to all of our watchers and listeners. We'll be back.
Smell you later, guys.
Smell you, Tim.
This is The Phillies Show. If you haven't already, please subscribe to The Phillies Show wherever you get your podcasts. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. If you like what we do, give us a review. Tell a friend. Catch Ruben, Jim, and me on Phillies Nation TV, presented by Valley Forge Tourism. New episodes air an hour before every Saturday Phillies game on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Replays air throughout the week and on PhilliesNation.com. Get more of Ruben's analysis during, before, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Read Jim at the All City Network at allphly.com. Find more of me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and occasionally on MLB Network.